What is compassion? That's our topic today. We'll explain what it means and look at some places you might be able to see it in your own life. So let's get into those details. Hello there and welcome back. I'm Alex Lyon and we are doing a 4-part series on compassion, especially angled toward compassion in professional settings. And this is the first video in that 4-part series. I'll link to all of them when the series is complete in the description below the video. I'd like to start with a quote that I love by Ian McLaren. He says, "Be kind. Everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle." I love that quote because it's really about compassion. It's often attributed to Plato, by the way, but based upon my limited research online, it looks like Ian McLaren wrote that in 1897. So compassion is care, kindness, especially the tendency to think about the needs and the good of others. Compassion is a state of mind and a state of emotion that drives our kindness and our mercy toward other people. We might show compassion through charity, for example, through volunteering, helping others, spending time with individuals who are hurting in some way. In other words, compassion begins with that state of mind or emotion, but ideally, it motivates us to do something practical, to offer some kind of support, whatever that looks like. Now, it's not exactly the same as love, non-romantic love, but it's obviously related. Compassion, you might say, is a loving kindness that we show toward other people. It's also not the same as empathy, but it is related as well. So empathy is where we put ourselves in the other person's shoes to feel what they're feeling. And that empathy can stir up compassion in us for others, especially if those people are suffering in some way. So it makes sense to me that people often talk about compassion, love, and empathy in this trio because they all really are connected. But we're going to stick mainly with compassion right now in terms of how we see people in some kind of need. Maybe they're sick or hungry or lonely or in pain in some way. And to make that more concrete, I notice compassion in 3 clear ways around me. And so I'll talk about these 3 ways, and maybe you'll see these in your own life and they'll be familiar to you. The first way I see compassion is with pets. Many of us, for example, feel strong, compassionate feelings for our pets. Now, obviously, this is not the same as feeling compassion for a person, but it helps us understand those feelings. So I have a beautiful dog, a golden retriever. And as a pet, she can't really do too much without our help. She can't feed herself or throw the frisbee. She can't let herself in and out of the house. She needs to be cared for. And when I'm at work, I think about sometimes how she might be home alone, and that fills me with compassion for her, that aloneness. And one of the reasons I talk about pets, by the way, is that there's a variety of research out there that shows that children who learn to treat their pets with kindness and compassion when they're young end up treating people with more compassion and kindness when they grow up. So a question for you is, do you have a pet? And do you ever feel that compassion well up in your heart for that pet? So go ahead and tell me about your pet in the description below the video. I want to hear all about it. The second way I see compassion in my life is for kids. So kids have some freedom and they can do a lot of things on their own, but they're also much more vulnerable than adults in many ways. So to hunger or potential abuse, poverty, certain kinds of sicknesses that seem to go after kids. And it's one of the reasons through this channel that I sponsor 2 kids through Compassion International. So I saw their photos and I read about their lives, and I was filled with compassion to become a monthly sponsor for them. So thank you for being a part of this channel because you're helping to support those kids. And sometimes we feel compassion for adults too, like if they're really old or if they're a bit sick. So question, who are the younger people or older people in your life, and do you feel compassion for them? The third way I experience compassion is through leadership. It's one of the topics we talk about on this channel a lot. And the workplace is a context where compassion can play a really important role, especially if you're in a supervisory or leadership position in any way. So in some ways, there are people, quote, under you, and really they're under your care. So leaders create the culture of the workplace. And in most organizations, people at what you would call the bottom of the pyramid, they don't get paid what they should, and they have hard jobs oftentimes. Sometimes they have problems in their own lives outside of work. And leaders are positioned to show compassion for their followers by treating them well and paying them fairly, letting them know that we value them. Now, obviously, people don't all see leadership this way, but I want to be clear that I do. And there's another video in this series that I'm making on compassionate leadership. And when that's done, I will post to that in the description below the video. But these are 3 basic examples of where you might see compassion. But really, everybody, virtually everybody, has hard days, hard seasons of life, whether it's health problems, unemployment, financial difficulties, depression, loneliness, lack of purpose, self-hatred. We live in a really complicated and hard world. So to answer the question again, what is compassion? It's kindness and care for others when we think about their needs. Like Ian McLaren said, be kind. Everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. So before we leave, I want to talk about 2 items. Again, this is the first in a series, so I will link to the next video in this series on compassionate leadership, and you can check that out when it's done. I'll post a link to that. I also want to let you know about a free PDF download that I created on the essential communication skills that all professionals should possess. I will link to that and also pin that link in the first comment in the comment section below the video, so you can check it out through there. And I look forward to reading all your comments about compassion, especially about your pets, below this video. So thanks, God bless, and I will see you in the next video on compassion.